friends, my name is Audrey Gerhard. Welcome to the Knits and Pieces Podcast 2.0. So if you are new here, welcome. It's a great time to be joining in. Podcasting is something that I have wanted to do for a long time. I've been inspired by so many creative people, and I've tried in the past and it just hasn't really worked out. And recently I've kind of been evaluating and taking inventory of what's going on in my life right now and really letting go of some things that are no longer serving me and bringing me joy and making space for things that I want to do. And this is one of those things. So giving it another try. We'll see where it goes. So if you follow me on Instagram, then you've already seen my knitting adventures over there for the past couple of years. I post all about what I'm knitting. I test knit patterns. I've designed a handful of patterns, and so this is just another expansion into the knitting world. I watch a lot of knitting podcasts. This is the kind of content that I like to see, so I wanted to create something that is the kind of content that I like to watch. So yeah, I hope you stick around. The loose format that I'm thinking about for this podcast is finished objects at the beginning, works in progress, and then at the end, any acquisitions or future plans that I have to share with you. So obviously, since this is the first episode, I put that in quotes because I have done this before, but it's been a long, long time. There's no like finished objects of things that I was previously showing you. So I just pulled 3 of my most recent finished objects to talk about, and then we'll kind of go from there. Hopefully next time I record, some of the whips that I'm going to talk about today will be finished. That's the goal. Doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes I just go nuts and cast on new things. Bear with me. I am drinking coffee today. I drink iced coffee year round. I live in the suburbs of Chicago, so even when it's, polar vortex -30, I still drink my iced coffee. So yeah, it is springtime here. It is warming up, but my house is freezing. So today I am wearing a hand knit sweater. This is a pattern that I test knit for Chantal of Knititude. Any designers, patterns, anything like that I mention, I will link in the description below. Patterns will be linked to Ravelry. So if you cannot use Ravelry for accessibility issues, I recommend that you go to the designer's Instagram and see if they offer their patterns on other platforms, because I know more and more and more designers are starting to do that. So patterns will be linked on Ravelry. If the yarn that I mentioned or whatever has a website, I will link that down below too. This is my beginner raglan light. Maybe it's my stockinette beginner raglan light or something like that. It is made with a worsted weight yarn. I used Lion Brand Jeans, which is 100% acrylic yarn. It's fairly affordable and I love it. You're gonna see it in so many of the projects that I'm talking about today because I absolutely adore this yarn. It is in my top 5 favorite yarns. I don't know if I could pick a favorite yarn. Oh, sorry if you can hear that squeaking. My dog decided to grab her loudest, most obnoxious toy. Anyways, I don't know if I could pick a top favorite yarn, but this one is in the top 5, maybe even the top 3 for sure. So yeah, I test knit this pattern for Chantal. I'm not going to stand up and show you because it's just a raglan. Because it's black, I don't know if you can see the raglan increases along here, but then it's just a stockinette body from there. I knit it with a couple inches of positive ease. I like a roomier fit. Chantal is a phenomenal designer. I have knit and test knit several of her patterns and have plans to knit several more. She's really worked in the past few years to become more size inclusive, so her more recent patterns go from extra small to 5XL. For me personally, her 2XL fits me to a T. Every pattern that I've knit, every pattern of hers that I've knit, I've ended up picking the 2XL and it fits me like a dream. So I cannot praise her patterns enough because it is so easy for me to go to one of her patterns, know exactly what size I'm going to make, and just go from there. So yeah, definitely check her out if you haven't heard about her before. It is too warm to be wearing this today, but it is freezing in my house and I was going to record anyway, so I was like, whatever, I'll throw on a hand knit sweater. But yeah, let's jump into some recent finished objects that I have. The first finished object is not blocked, and that's okay because it's acrylic yarn anyways, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna block it or just give it a washing, but this is a baby blanket that I made. I have two nephews who are both due on June 17th. They are not twins. Both of my two of my sisters-in-law, I don't know what the plural of that is, are pregnant right now, and they're both expecting boys, and they're due on the same day, and it's so exciting. So one of them is my godson, and so I decided to make a baby blanket specifically for my godson. I do have more of this yarn if I have time to make a baby blanket for my other nephew as well. That would be awesome, but I wanted to get this one out of the way nice and early so that it was done. This is Lion Brand yarn. It is Mandala Baby, so this is all one skein of yarn. You can see all those color changes. It's a little wrinkly because it's been kind of folded up, and like I said, I haven't blocked it. It is 100% acrylic yarn, which I wanted because it can be chucked in the wash. You don't have to do anything special with it, but that does mean that it doesn't really block out. I referenced a few free patterns on Ravelry when I was deciding what to make, and then just kind of hodgepodge some of them together to create my own thing. So I started off with a garter edge. I cast on and garter stitch, and then I slipped the first stitch of each row to get this nice clean edge, and then it's just knit 3, purl 3, ribbing all the way across with knits with a garter edge on either side. I kind of wish I had made the garter edge a little bit wider because it is kind of curling in, but that's okay. Yeah, and I basically just knit, this is one skein, and I basically just knit until I ran out of yarn. It is on the smaller side. I want to say it's like 30 inches by 30 inches or something pretty close. So it's more of like a stroller sized blanket, if you will, but as long as you cast on in a multiple of 3, you could adapt this to be any size. So there you go. That's my very loose baby blanket recipe. It was super easy. I'm sorry, I said this was ribbing. It's not. It is garter rib. So these stitches here, you can see where you get the stockinette columns. That is purling and knitting every other row. These are knitting every row. So it is not true ribbing. That was a mistake. So yeah, I'm super happy with how that came out. You can kind of see where I change colors. Like you get those little bumps where the color changes, but I don't care. It's a baby blanket. So yeah, that's that. I don't think I have anything else to say about that. The next finished object I wanted to share with you is kind of a fail in some ways. It's not, because I have worn it. I like the way that it fits me. But this is my Throwover by Andrea Mowry. It is a very popular pattern, and I did modify it in several different ways. So, getting ahead of myself. I don't remember what size I made. I think I went up a needle size to get gauge. I made this out of Lion Brand jeans. Noticing a theme? And what's actually really cool about this is for the color work, I used colors from other sweaters. So like this black color that's in the color work is what this sweater is made out of. I also have 2 short sleeve tops, one made out of this blue and the other one made out of this gray. So I think that makes it really fun. There's like a lot of memories woven into this sweater. The reason I say it's a fail is because of this. I had this on my needles, I got through the color work, and then I just kind of lost steam and I put it down. And that's okay, but I didn't want it to sit on my needles for forever. So then when my knitting mojo kind of came back, I picked it back up and I was like, before I cast on anything new, I want to finish this. I just want it off the needles. But I was just kind of over it. And so I did 3/4 length sleeves and I did a cropped body. And I will wear it. I don't wear crop tops with pants very often, but I will wear it over skirts and dresses and things. And it's cute, but it's very cropped. So modifications. I just shortened the body. I don't even remember how many inches I did. Very professional podcast. But I just went until it looked about the length I wanted, and then I added on the 1.5 to 2 inches of ribbing, whatever she suggests. And that was that. I did the sleeves. I did whatever the pattern suggested for decreases. I think it was like a decrease around every inch, and I just tried it on as I went, so you can kind of see my decreases on the underside of the sleeve there. I just tried it on as I went, and when I liked the circumference of the arm, I stopped decreasing. I did a few inches of stockinette, and then I did the ribbing for the cuff. I usually just do a knit one, purl one, bind off. I think it makes a really clean edge. Since this is knit 2, purl 2, that's what I did. I just knit 2, bound off, purled 2, bound off. It isn't the stretchiest bind off ever, but I left the sleeves loose enough that that doesn't really matter. It didn't need to be super stretchy. So yeah, I'm happy with this. I was happy to have it finished and off the needles. I think it turned out cute. It is not the kind of like cozy, oversized sweater that I had originally envisioned when I started knitting it, but that's okay. It's a fun transitional piece because it's cropped in 3/4 length sleeves. It's like a spring fall type garment. It is still worsted weight, so it's not really a summer garment, but yeah, I'm happy with how it came out. I have one more finished object to share with you. This is another thing that I finished recently. This is the Rhinebeck Roomies socks by the Crazy Sock Lady, and that one has a little stain, so I'm going to show you this one. So these are looking a little loose on the blockers. I have already blocked them and worn them once or twice. This one has a little stain because I haven't washed it yet. I was nannying, and the girl that I was nannying for flung this like berry puree everywhere. A little bit ended up on the sock. That's okay, not a big deal. Anyways, this is the Rhinebeck Roomies sock pattern by the Crazy Sock Lady. This was the first pattern of hers. I'm sorry. This is the morning coffee socks. I knit the morning coffee socks and the Rhinebeck Roomies at basically the same time. This is the morning coffee sock pattern by the Crazy Sock Lady. I don't have the Rhinebeck Roomies to show you because they were a sample knit, so they've already been sent off, but you can check out my Instagram. I loved both of these patterns. Both of them were really well written and easy to follow. I knit the size medium for these, which is a 64 stitch cast on. And usually for myself, I would do a 68 stitch cast on, but I didn't want to go up because I didn't want them to be too loose. And these fit just fine. I think they're slightly, ever so slightly tighter than what I would normally knit for myself, but that's okay. The yarn is Hello Stella Fibers. She is a Canadian-based indie dyer, and you actually cannot get this yarn from her anymore. She has recently transitioned to doing all non-superwash. So this is something I got from her last year, maybe, when she did like a mystery sale. So it was a mystery sock set. It came with the main skein of yarn, which is this really beautiful variegated colorway. It's really bright and pretty. And then it came with 2 minis. So since these socks were already going to be kind of wild with all the colors, I did alternating. You can see I used the purple for the heel on one and then the cuff and toe on the other, and then vice versa with the green. So I think these turned out super cute and fun. They fit really well. I did the twisted rib that the pattern calls for. I'll give you an up close look at that. I think a twisted rib takes a little bit more time, but it ends up looking really, really neat and classy. Yeah. Modifications for these, I didn't do the full length of the leg. I have large calves. I do. Most tall boots don't fit me. I can't wear like knee-high socks and stuff. And so to do the legs as long as the pattern suggested, I would have had to do some sort of shaping. I would have had to cast on a larger number and then decrease down to the length that fit my foot. And that is something that someday I would like to play around with and kind of have a formula. But I didn't want to do it with this pattern, particularly because these are a textured leg, and they're textured all the way around. So figuring out what would have fit me and then working that math into the pattern, I just didn't want to mess with it. So I do a shorter leg on all of my socks. When I knit vanilla socks for myself, I think I do a 20 round cuff and a 30 round leg, and I probably did pretty close to that for these, but I wanted to get the pattern repeats in there the way that I wanted them, so it might be a little bit more than 30 rounds. But yeah, I do that because if I go too high, then the leg opening won't fit me. So yeah, that's those. If you're not following Kay, the crazy sock lady, she has a super awesome podcast that it was one of the inspirations for me to give this a try again. And she has some really, really cute sock patterns. Like I said, I've knit 2 of her patterns now, and they've both been extremely well written. They have 3 different sizes, so you can almost for sure find something that fits you. Yeah, they're really easy to follow. All right. Moving into works in progress. I have my first work in progress in this adorable little project bag. This is from Molly Klein Design. She dyes yarn and makes project bags. There's her little logo, although it won't focus on the logo. She dyes yarn and she makes project bags, and I'm obsessed. I think 3 of the 4 works in progress I'm going to show you today are in Molly Klein Design project bags. This one was one of the first ones I grabbed from her. It is this adorable Friends fabric. I am obsessed with Friends. Side note, the reunion comes out 2 days from today. So freaking stoked. I'm excited. So yes, anyways, I'm obsessed with Friends. So when I saw this fabric, I knew that I had to grab it. I love all of the different nods to the TV show. I think it's absolutely adorable. This is her sock sack project bag. They have a zipper on the top, and then all of her project bags have a little handle on the side. So this isn't really big enough to like fit around your wrist, but what is convenient about this is you could clip it to your belt or to your backpack or bag. And so if you are someone who likes to knit while they walk around, that makes this really easy. So the work in progress in here is another pair of socks. I have one sock finished. So let me slip it onto the blockers for you. These blockers are just basic acrylic ones. I believe I ordered them off of Amazon. I will try to find them and link them down below. They're basic. They get the job done. They're kind of ugly. I don't know, but they're blockers. They're what I needed. So that's that. This yarn, I think I have her label in here, is from Playful Day Yarns. I believe she is in California, so a US indie dyer. This is her Playful Day tweed base. It is 85% superwash merino, 15% Donegal neps. No nylon. I thought this had nylon, but it doesn't. And this is in her Cupcake Confetti colorway. So there's her tag. I love the little sheep on her logo. I think that's absolutely adorable. So yeah, this pattern is the Socks Made Simple pattern, which is a pattern by me that you currently cannot purchase. Pause for a small tangent. So I do design patterns. I have a handful of patterns that up until now were published on Ravelry. Ravelry has been having some accessibility issues lately. That's a whole thing that I'm not going to get into here. I've made my feelings very known over on Instagram, so you can follow me there. When Ravelry made its feelings clear about accessibility, I deactivated all of my patterns from Ravelry because I do not make a significant amount of income from my patterns, so I don't rely on that income, and I didn't feel right supporting a business that so blatantly was ignoring people with different disabilities and different neurodivergent folks. I didn't feel right about supporting that. I have decided that I will be reactivating my patterns on Ravelry. I am also going to create some other platforms where they can be available. I think I'm going to create a Google site that can function as a blog and a space where you can buy my patterns, and I also plan to create a PayHip account so that you can buy my patterns on there. So I will be reactivating my patterns on Ravelry. You can buy them on Ravelry when that happens, if that's your preferred platform, or you'll have other places to buy them because I don't agree with all of the decisions that Ravelry is making. In the meantime, if you'd like to purchase a pattern of mine, you can go see them all on Instagram, and you can message me on there, or you can email me. Back to this. This pattern is called Socks Made Simple. This is a pattern I designed last year for my mom. She wanted to get into knitting socks and was feeling overwhelmed, and she was like, can you please just write me a pattern? So I did. Socks Made Simple comes in 6 different sizes. It gives instructions for cuff down and toe up, and it is everything I wish I had known when I started knitting socks. So I am so happy with this pattern. I use it for most of the socks that I make. And I think it's phenomenal. I mean, I designed it, but I think it's phenomenal. So I did these cuff down. That is my preferred method of knitting. You can see there's a little line here because I did them in magic loop, which does give me some tension issues, but that will block out and it will be on the side of your foot so nobody can see it. So yeah, I did my taller sock length. I did a German short row heel, which there are in-depth instructions for in the pattern. And I do a wedge toe. There's the finished sock. And where am I in this one? I think I'm pretty close to being done, actually. It's all tangled up. Yeah, I have had like zero capacity to focus on things this past week, so these are like all I've been working on. So they've gotten done rather quickly, but I have done the cuff, I've done the leg, I've already put in the heel. The dog's going crazy.